Hallå! Hi. How are you? It's been forever, or at least 2 weeks. It feels really, really long. Excuse me, let me just... I am making plans with a friend on Facebook, so it just popped up. So I just minimized the window so that I won't be distracted. Sorry about that. So, hi. Today is Saturday, July 30th, and I am Maja, and you can find me as sjomajlin on Instagram and Ravelry, as usual, and I am coming to you from Jönköping, Sweden. So hi, how are you? Hope everything is good. It's been 2 weeks, as I said, since I recorded last. What is that? That is a weird looking bug. Last week, or a week ago, I was going home from Jämtland. Actually, I haven't had my atlas out in forever, so let me see if I can show you. For those of you who might not be very well acquainted with Sweden, or what Sweden looks like on the map, or in reality for that matter, here's Scandinavia, I guess. Right here, the smaller and narrower of the two big lakes, just at the southern shores there is Jönköping, where I live. And about, do I have something? I have a pen. About right there, sort of, where the pen points, is where we went. So it is, it's kind of far. Sweden is pretty long, tall. It was probably about, well, it took me 12 hours to get home, but that was by, excuse me, bus, train, bus, train. And then I chose to walk the last bit and not take another bus, because that was close enough for that. So that, my route was a little bit more zigzaggy than it had to be. And on the way up we stopped in Orsa one night, to not do all of the drive in one go, but I think it was about like 9 or 10 hours drive if you were to go, you know, effectively. But then you might, of course, need to stop and eat and so on. I don't know, this doesn't really, this is a little bit of a close-up, so it doesn't really say anything, does it? From there to there. Anyway, so we went up there, my parents, me, of course, my parents, and my brother and his wife and 2 children. And we were there for a week, and we had just such a lovely time. I just thought I would look, I have this up here. So in the very middle here is the North Pole. So it is like the view from the top of the globe. And I find it kind of interesting to just to see how things are, you know, located. So here's Sweden. Again, the narrower lake just there is where I live. And we went to, I guess, so that, what are those called? Latitude, longitude, latitude line. And that is the North Pole circle. I don't know what that is in English. Norra polcirkeln. So right between that line and the Arctic Circle. That's what it is, right? it's that's sort of where we went. So let's trace this. So I just okay, so let's see. So here is, I've turned the map around, so this is Northern America. It goes sort of like that, I guess, in an eastern, north to south. So I live just south of, excuse me, where was I? What line was I pointing at? Yeah, that longitude line right there. Can you, am I in shot? I live just south of that. So this is comparatively in Alaska. And then we went, as I said, up north. Closer, or like right in between. And I'm holding it, so I'm trying to read upside down. That doesn't really work. So let's see if there is something, any landmark I could point to. Well, not really. Nome? Might it be called Nome in Alaska? Right there at my index finger. That is sort of the same longitude as where we went. And then of course you have the Gulf, what's it called? The Gulf current that makes the weather, the climate much different, but it's pretty far north. So I will edit in some pictures at the end if you're interested. We had this wonderful cabin that is built for like winter going skiing. So we were just at the foot of some ski slopes pretty much, and like, what are those called? Ski lifts? Is that what they're called? Like it's not an elevator. It's absolutely not an elevator, but the like machine that gets you up on the mountain. And in the area was a concept called Find Five Falls, as in waterfalls. So there were various leveled, I would say, hikes where you walked up to some waterfalls, and we actually bathed in two of them. Especially the first one was so freaking cold. It wasn't even funny. I did kick some rocks with my bare feet and it just wouldn't stop bleeding. Even though it was so cold. It was awful, but wonderful and amazing. On the Wednesday we were there, so when, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, what might that be, sort of the 20th maybe, we went even further north from where we were, like 2 hours drive ish. Me and my brother and our dad, he took us, cause we got, so I turned 30 this year and my brother turned 35, and so we got White River rafting for our birthday. So or birthdays. So we went up north to Åre. Sorry, we went to Klavsjö, for those of you who might know the area, close to Vemdalen. And so we went further up north to Åre. You might, I think there have been, and there is going to be, pretty big, like big alpine championships, whatever. I'm really not interested, so I don't really know, but I think it is. Anyway, where and there they had whitewater rafting. So we went in the steepest goable, rideable, raftable waters in Sweden, and they are like top notch in the world as well. I did not look this up. I believe it's called Rapids, Falls and Rapids. I did listen to an episode, podcast episode on jumping fish, and they talked about fish jumping rapids. So I just like, okay, so that's what it's called, but I'm not sure. But I think it is. So there were like pretty long, steep, quick rapids, and we also went down to waterfalls. They weren't like, you know, waterfalls as the one we hiked to look at, where it is like free fall. These were smoother. But it was so amazing. It was so cool. And yeah, it was really amazing. As I said, my brother, he did fall out. He fell from the raft in a rapid and we had to pull him up. I didn't. But there was this one, excuse me, I just scratched a mosquito bite on my leg and started bleeding, so. There was this pretty long passage where it wasn't just the water. Okay. So we were in a river where the water flows, obviously. But this long passage was a little steeper, so it was more of a rapid, but it wasn't like a rapid, and it was very deep there, or very deep, but it was like probably 1.5 meters at least. So it wasn't like those, you know, whitewater foaming rapids. So the guide, so there were a bunch of us, so that we had 3 rafts, and there was a guide in each raft to guide us and coach us. So he said that this is the place where we usually offer the visitors to jump in and test to swim next to it, or next to the raft. So I was like, sure, I'm gonna do that. So I just jumped in. I was wearing a life jacket and a helmet and like a wetsuit, and I mean I was geared up. And I didn't even have to swim. I just floated next to the raft with a life jacket, keeping me buoyant, of course. And also I think there was some padding in the wetsuit, which I also think helped with some buoyancy. Is that the word? I think it is. And it was so cool. And it was pretty quickly. I mean, it was. If I had tried swimming against the stream, I might not have been able to do that, actually. I don't think I would. And I think that was the closest I'll ever be to being weightless. What's the word? Like out of gravity. It was so cool. And we had a really good time. It was amazing. And again, the whole trip was just really cool. So I will add in some pictures. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you saw I posted kind of a lot. But it was such an amazing experience. We did one hike on, like, in the Alpine, what's it called, like up on a mountain. It wasn't like, we didn't climb a mountain, you know, but it was far high enough of an altitude that there weren't really any trees up there. Excuse me. And we saw a reindeer. We didn't think they would be that far south in the summer, because they migrate north. But we saw 2 reindeers actually, but we saw one next to the road. Excuse me. That didn't feel. It was wild, obviously, but that didn't feel as, I don't know, romantic as seeing one on the like wide stretched plateau up on the mountain. Anyway, it was really cool. So that week I did not do a lot of knitting. When we were back in the cabin, we had a sauna in the cabin with the view of the valley and the village on the next. It was so beautiful, and we played a lot of board games and hunted some Pokemon. and so on. So I didn't do a lot of knitting and fibery stuff. I did a lot of, well, a good amount of car knitting on the way up, and then did some knitting whilst being there as well. And then, as I said, I went by buses and trains home, so I had many, what do you say, changes that sort of messed with my rhythm, but I got some done on the way home as well. I am on other I'm reading. I was just thinking about this before. I tend to talk about books that I'm reading when I'm reading in English because, well, lately the books I've been reading in Swedish are written by Swedish authors that I, you know, sort of don't think are readily available in the other languages or in other countries. So I haven't really been talking about that to you. But when I'm reading in English, or if I know that something is available in English, and if it is something that I enjoy, I've been talking about it. And quite recently I read Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects. I read that in Swedish. I've also read, it's called Dark Places, that I also read in Swedish. I'm not sure about those titles in English. Yeah, Sharp Objects and Dark Places. So I thought I want to read Gone Girl as well. I haven't seen the movie. So I picked this up quite recently, and I am, what am I? 2/3 through. I usually do not read this quickly. This is just a little over a week, I think, and I've gone all this way. This is so good. It is so good. It is so good. No spoilers if you haven't read it or any of her other books. The others two are really, really good as well. It is not for the faint of heart, I would say. Her books deal with the evil in human, I think. I guess I would say. And it is pretty gruesome, but brilliant. As I said, I am maybe 2/3 through. I have passed the sort of midway through big plot twist, for those of you who know what I mean. Again, no spoilers. I am expecting another big twist plot, because I can sort of hear the music in the background saying, you know, something exciting is going to happen. But it's so good. So Gone Girl, Gillian Flynn. So good. So I spent a lot of time a lot of my time on the buses and trains reading as well as some knitting. So let me show you what I've been working on. I have a finished object and a moth. That is not good. I don't think the moth has been like in my yarn. Because it's summer, it's warm, we don't have air conditioning because it's usually not warm in Sweden. So windows are open, insects fly in, and they usually go back out. I finished a pair of shorty socks. There are two. I did these on the trip. I cast on in the car going up, and I bound off on a train. Might have been a bus. I think it was on a train. So shorty socks, 1x1 cuff, heel flap, gusset. I did an eye of partridge heel, except for right here where I miss. So here it is right, and then like the last few slipped stitches I slipped wrong the second to last slip row, and I was like, I'm not going back. And no one would ever see that if I didn't point it out, right? So yeah. Okay, disclaimer or something, I don't know. Okay, so I did knit this on 2mm needles, as I usually do with my socks. And about the yarn, it is a drops yarn. I don't have the ball band. I just have the leftovers. It's a drops fable. I don't remember the colorway, excuse me for that. And I know, I mean, oh, there are different opinions. Let me see, I should have the ball band around here somewhere. Everyone is allowed their opinion, of course, as always. I am, however, of the opinion that Drops is not really being a decent company with how they treat fellow human beings within the knitting industry. And the most recent being... no, I can't find it, sorry. The most recent example of that being the... what are they calling it? Like the dragon something shawl? Which is a obvious... obviously they've copied, I can't think of the words in English, Martina Beam's, sorry, Martina Beam, I believe she says herself, lefty shawl. And I mean, stuff like that has happened before, and I know that, and I'm thinking, you know, I shouldn't give them my dollars. But then I get excited, you know, for buying something, and I'm looking at yarn, looking at yardage, looking at colorways, and I'm like, oh, but I know this is a good yarn, I've worked with it before, and then I click buy, and then I realize, here I am with Drops Good Yarn again, and since I've bought it, I might as well use it, you know, there is no reason not to use it, so Drops Fable. And if you are a person who think it's okay to use Drops yarn and Drops, support Drops, go ahead. I'm not, you know, I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just saying that for me, there is bitter sweetness, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying, but I finished these socks anyway, so that is what I'm saying. And then I have a hoe with no ends woven in, but it's also a shorty sock. It is a little bit taller and just a plain heel flap, no eyes or anything. I have a little stitch marker here to mark where I started doing the toe decreases so that I can compare it to the next sock as well. The yarn is this same old, no brand really yarn that I've been using forever. I did knit a sweater out of this, if you remember, quite recently, so it's sock yarn called Christina. I bought this at Netto. 75/25 wool polyamide, 50 grams, 210 meters. And it works up in these blue stripes. And I've made socks out of this before as well that you've seen. Ah! My nose is itchy. This is also worked on 2mm needles, and yeah. So those are my finished objects. I did cast on the second sock of this, to that one. I've done like maybe one row of the heel flap. I knit on DPNs. I knit with 5 DPNs. So I have the work on 4 and I knit with a 5th, usually. But when I knit the heel flap, I like to have that on just one needle. Some people have like the 3 needles and then 1 to work with, if you get what I mean, as their MO for knitting the entire thing. I don't like that at all. It doesn't come around. It is too stiff. I need that fourth joint, if you will. But yeah, I'm working just started the heel flap, so that's what I'm working on. And that is the only new thing that I have to show for knitting. I've also been working a little bit from there on my summer top that obviously wasn't done this summer. That's okay. I've been working on that forever. And where is... Excuse me. I was... we had knit night yesterday at a cafe. And... I brought my knitting with me, or one of my projects, and I didn't unpack it. I just realized. And again, this is Drops yarn. Again. Drops Fable. Again. And this is the Still Light Tunic, Vera Vilimäki, that I am re-knitting or knitting again. I made a charcoaly, dark grey, almost black one last fall, and now I'm knitting a I don't know, dark blue one. So I've done not a lot of progress, but some progress on that as well from there. Yeah. And, I'm gonna talk about that so much more, because it's gonna be around for much longer. So those are the works in progress. Then I also have some spinning. I did show you, I don't know which bobbin is which. I have shown you one of these bobbins before when I had finished the first bobbin. Now I have 2 bobbins finished, and I have a little bit more fiber left. Not a lot. But I'm splitting that onto 2 smaller bobbins. I have these like spare or extra bobbins, so they are smaller. Can you see that? If I hold it like that, you can see that the... Yeah. So I'm splitting the last, because this is... Okay, the idea is I'm doing a 2-ply. And this is, you know, about the same amount-ish. So I was thinking I won't just spin up the last portion on 1 bobbin and then having to like make a ply ball or cake out of that. So I'm splitting the last pieces as well onto two smaller bobbins, so that I can hopefully have a smoother time creating a 2-ply yarn. So this is wool from Ölands Ull Centrum, Spinneri. Centrum. Ölands Ull Centrum. That I've mentioned before. My mom bought 4 bats of wool. In these you can see that there are 4 different colors right there. So I have just mixed it all the way through, sort of randomly. I've just made sure not to have... So what I've done, hopefully someone is interested. I split the bigger bat into smaller, like nestlings, I guess. So I'm spinning one of these at a time, obviously. And the only thing pattern-wise I've done is to make sure that if I just finished a green one, then the next one is one of the other 3 colors. So I'm not adding another one of the same color directly. However, all of the little batlings had been different sizes. So anyway, the second bobbin, that is the big part of the, that is probably about 300 grams out of 400 on those two bobbins that I just put down there. So I have just a little bit left to split onto two smaller bobbins. And I'm almost done with the first one of those. And then I will obviously spin up the second one of those as well, and then rest the singles at least overnight and then play them up. So I will probably have some finished yarn next week. Probably. Also, I'm starting work again on Monday. I've had 5 weeks off, so I've gotten used to not having to work. Yeah. I bought some yarn. Let me first show, we went to a fair market, very small, cute little thing. And I did buy some different, like at a jewelry type booth. No! Oh, found it. Good. I did buy some like pendants that I think are supposed to be for jewelry, as I said. Let me see if I can just get those. I got also some of these small rings, I'll show you. Can you hear them going everywhere? I shouldn't have taken them all out. And yes, it is warm enough that my hands are just a little bit sweaty. So trying to get them off of my skin and back into the baggie without going everywhere else is interesting, and I am just trying to stall while I'm speaking. So these little sort of ones. And then I got an owl and this little it's not exactly a lobster claw, but it's pretty much a lobster claw, so that I made it into a progress keeper. I also got this heart that I haven't done anything with yet, but I don't know how much of a difference that does, but so that is also like a, you could definitely wear it as a necklace as well. And let me show you the progress keeper I have on this here, or where, again, this marks where I started the toe decreases. It's also something that I picked up there. It's a small little key. Oh, I don't know how much my... That worked out great. And I also did on this. I picked up and just wanted to try. So I made a turquoise snitch. Sort of. That's the idea anyway, and I kind of like it. So those are some stash enhancements, obviously. Yeah, and I don't know, there's no... I'm trying to figure out something to say to justify this, and there's just no justifying this. My stash is definitely getting out of hand, so... So on the same market, I found this yarn, which is pure wool, I believe. It doesn't really say anything, but it really feels... I mean, it is sort of... This isn't really next to skin soft. It might... No, not really. It could be mittens. It could definitely be mittens, but not like neck or face skin soft. It is sort of... I don't know. I haven't really learned the yarn weights, but DK worsted? I don't know. It isn't super thin anyway. So 2 of those. I don't really have any plans for them, but you know, they will always become something. I just had an idea. We'll have to see. I'll talk about it to you next week if... Well, anyway. So I picked up those, and then we walked over to another sort of booth where, and I had my nephews, or one of the nephews was holding my hands and the other one was trailing behind. So one of the nephews, he just ran up and grabbed this, and it was like, oh! And I was like, yeah. So this is, I am personally not a big fan of sparkly yarn. I hope that does not offend anyone, because if you like sparkly yarn, that's good. But this is beyond sparkly yarn. I mean, this is a silver thread plied with the yarn. And it is 100% acrylic. And it's just lovely. There's nothing... I don't want to bash acrylic yarn, because it can be really good. But this is the type of acrylic yarn that feels really plasticky. And yeah. Anyway, he was like, and I was like, you know what? I can't, as long, if he gets excited by yarn, I'm gonna support that. So I said to him, and there were other yarns as well, and I was like, and I was like, well, if you pick out a yarn, then I can make something out of it for Christmas, maybe. So he was like, yes, I want a cat that is gliding in its own phlegm, mucus. It is like an inside joke where my mom, his grandma, mentioned that his father, my brother, and his younger brother, so my youngest nephew, had moved very quickly away, like further on their walk. So mom was like, look over there, they've gone so far, they must have been running. And the older nephew looked up at mom, because he was watching some snails. So he was like, no grandma, they don't run, they glide on their own mucus. So it is a bit of a joke. So I was like, yeah, we'll have to see about that. Well, I bought this for him anyway. And so I told the other nephew, you know, the same thing, and he was like, I want a sweater! And I was like, you can get a sweater for your teddy bear! And he was like, yeah! And he picked up this one. I really do like these colors. Yeah, that's a bit better. This is also 100% acrylic. Yeah, I didn't say. So this is called Silver Soft. And like Kewik? I don't know. I have no idea. And this is called Bumbo Daylight. Yeah, I don't know. Also 100% acrylic. This feels less plasticky. So that is Christmas gifts. And then I also did pick up Naturgarns Tingo. So that is nature yarn Tingo, 100% alpaca, luxurious Peruvian yarn. So it is, the company is based in Stockholm, but the yarn or the fiber is from Peru. I haven't really read this yarn label before, but now I did. In this red-ish color. So it is 100 grams and about 200 meters in each. And it is, as I said, 100% alpaca, and this is so soft. I find some alpaca to be really, really itchy. This is so soft. I don't really know what to do with this either. I don't have an exact plan, but it was too luscious to be left behind. So that was that market, and then mom had walked into a yarn store in a town where we had to go pretty far to be able to find a grocery store to get food. So when Dad, me and my brother were, I don't know where I'm going. I can't grammar. When we were on our rafting thing, so my brother and I were rafting, and Dad was like, I don't know, sitting in the car reading or something. Walking about, having a good time, I'm sure. So the others, so my mom, my sister-in-law and the nephews were off doing something else. So mom walked in to this yarn store that was next to the grocery store. That's where, anyway. To ask, like, are there any local you know. And so she got a phone number to call for a lady. They thought she was German, who had sheep. And so mom called and they had a really hard time understanding each other. But it turned out she was selling yarn at this, oh, what might that be called? Let me see if I can ask Google. But it's translate, because I really have no idea what this might be. Hembygdsgård. Let's see. It translates to Hembygdsgård. Folk museum? No. Well, it's like, it's not a museum per se, but it's like usually like an old building usually in like smaller villages or settlements, where they in different ways try to keep the history of their place, I guess. Anyway, so we decided that were going to try to first of all find this place and then see if there was anything to be had. So we went there and we walked up and I saw this. There were like 3 big baskets on the like front, like the where it's like the stairs leading up. There were like 3 stairs or something, and there were big baskets. And in the first basket I was like, Mom, 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 that's handspun, Mom, Mom, that's handspun. And she was like, is it? I was like, yes, yes, it is handspun. And it was on sale for 40 kronor. That is about 4 euros. I did pick up 2 finally. So these are, I haven't weighed them. I'm guessing they are 50 grams. So, but still like 4 euros. And yeah, they're handspun. So this, she said, was 50% silk and 50% some sort of wool. And I don't know about this, but it is gorgeous. Don't really have a plan, but I needed, you know. So I picked that up. And then there was, and while we were like digging through these baskets, she came out and was like, "What did you called?" Turns out she was not German. I do not remember her name. She's from Yorkshire. But she sort of early-ish moved to Denmark, and she's been living in Denmark and running a mill, a spinning mill, fiber yarn mill. And for some reason she ended up, or at least for now, in Rätan, up in Jämtland. So it was a little, I mean, it wasn't hard to understand her in person, but she mixed some English with a lot of Swedish and some Danish. So it was, and she was just one of these people, you know, who are just bubbling and who are like. And so there was this one basket with yarn that were from her sheep. So we asked a little bit about it. And she had a bunch of different ones, and we were like, what kind of sheep do you have? And so she started picking up these different, so this is what I picked out. And she was like, well, this is a, you know, this is a, I can't even think of a single yarn right now, or breed. Because I kind of think that I remember what this is, I just don't remember it right now. Anyway, so she had a bunch of different ones. So some were like, she had some Gotland, she had some Jacob, she had some I don't know. She had a bunch of different ones anyway. A bunch of different ones. So she said that she tried to mix, like, so this is probably pure, whatever this it was that this was. Was it the long wool? No, I don't know, I'm not sure. And these 2 in the middle are probably mixed to get the colors as well, and this is the darkest one is probably also 100% whatever it is. So she shears her sheep, and then she sends it off to be spun in Denmark. So we didn't ask because we didn't think of it, but we guessed that she sends it off to the people she used to work with, and then it comes back in this form. So it wasn't locally spun, but it was locally bred, I guess. It bugs me though that I really can't remember what this was. But I did pick up this sort of gradient scale. I need to make something gradient. I don't know what. So this is 400 grams, so it would be enough for a sweater, cardigan. But I don't know. I haven't decided what. But I thought this gradient was just amazing. I'm trying to think what this is, but I don't remember. Well, anyway, so really, really amazing. And then the third big basket was with fiber, unspun fiber. So I have it jammed into this basket right now. So I have this one and this one are sort of variegated. The other ones are solid colors. And she had these like skeins, I guess, or roving. I think it was like 12 kronor each, buy 10 and get one for free or something. So I started looking, and then my mom was like, oh, this is beautiful, oh, this is fine. And I was like, you know, I'll spin for you if you want to. And she was like, yes, yes, yes. So we decided that, you know, it's probably a good idea to pick up 11. So these were the ones that I got. So while I was going through this lady, because there were some other people there buying, you know, some cheesecake and coffee, so she was like doing other stuff as well. And so she was, excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. She was going past and she was like, what are you going to do with that wool? And I was like, I'm gonna spin it. And she was like, yeah, okay. And so she walked off. And then when she came back, she was like, yeah, I just asked because there are some of them are superwash, so you can't felt them. And I was like, no, I'm gonna spin. And she walked out. And then she came out again and was like, as I said, she was like so bubbly, and she was like, you know what? I have 50 different spinning wheels at home. And I believe she said that there were at least 11 different sort of spinning wheels. And I was like, oh. And we were talking about a bunch of different things, and she was so amazing. And she was like, well, yeah, this is that breed, that breed, and this is that, and this is... And so mom also picked up some hand spun, and she was like, this is 5% mink, or whatever it was. We were like... It was so cool. So I am pretty eager to get the current spinning project done, so I can get going on this. I have some other fiber as well, but I am thinking to make some sort of, well, hopefully thin enough to be able to be like a sock, thin sock yarn with like these colors. I did weigh these, so as I said, there are 11 of these, and I don't remember, either it was just over 400 or just over 300. I believe it was just over 400 grams, so, or was it 300? I don't remember. But I'm going to have to make, I need to mix colors to be able to get like a sock's worth of yarn. But they are just so gorgeous. Look at this, look at this. Almost comes through as deep as it is. So yeah. My stash is getting out of hand. I really need to work on it. I mean, I know that, okay, so again, I'm not shaming anyone else on their stash. And really, I know that my stash isn't really that big, but I live pretty tiny, so I need to be on top of it. And yeah. So that was sort of last week. This week, as I said, I came home on Saturday night, so it's about a week ago now. and I've just had a really slow summer week. I haven't really done anything. I've been picking some blueberries, like wild blueberries and wild raspberries. I've been watching movies. We had a knit night yesterday at a cafe in town. It's been warm. I've been trying to run. My legs have been hurting. I was trying to find a more colorful way, but anyway. And it's getting better. I'm not really fit for fight again, but I'm getting there, I think. Yeah, I haven't really done anything this week, which is good. I like, excuse me, to have, like, so the last few days or week or so of vacation, when I'm just at home, I like to be slightly bored, so that I feel energized to get back to work. Obviously I've been reading, I've been listening. I mean, I'm not bored, I'm doing things that I love. So I'm not bored, but you know, you understand what I mean, I think? You might too. I've also been like catching up on my podcasts feed and stuff like that, so it's been good. Yes. So, it is just past 6 at night, and my friend that I was making plans with, they wanted to meet up for dinner. So I should probably get going. And I will, well, you won't know this until afterwards anyway, but I will probably not be able to make this upload today, so it will be uploaded tomorrow, but hey. That's it. That's it. Please do take care of yourselves and to one another. Of one another. Be kind to yourselves and to one another is what I'm usually saying. Take care of yourselves as well. Stay, you know, hydrated, cool enough, warm enough, stay comfortable where you are, and have a good time doing it. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye!